Hi there. So several years back, I took a Bible finance course at my church, which was called Harvest Bible Chapel, York Region at the time, which is now called Hope Bible Church, Markham. I currently attend a different church, but I have a Catholic church, but I've retained the information as valuable lessons on how to steward the finances that God has given me. Um, I'm actually on disability. I've been on disability for a long time. So, in that sense, I've learned to manage a small portion of money that the government gives me as a benefit every month. And by learning more about just by living my life and learning more about the economy, I've learned some very valuable things that I would like to share with you right now. So, if you can think back to the pandemic that we experienced starting in 2019, um, what was happening during that time was that people were being told to stay home, right? Because there was a pandemic happening, and so basically, the economy was being shut down. The economy wasn't shut down entirely. There were things that remained open, like grocery stores and other, doctors' offices, or you could, do virtual doctors' appointments and stuff like that. But they were essential. If you remember, there was the things that were essential were allowed to remain open. Now, I don't want to get into I know it's very controversial to talk about some of these things because, you know, it was kind of a scary time to live in, during that time period. And a lot of people lost their lives because of COVID. So I want to be sensitive in regards to that. But what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the economy that we're facing right now. And um, so basically, and what we did experience during the pandemic. So basically, I just wrote something. I'm going to read it, and I'll try to explain as I'm reading. So, um, when you destabilize the economy, the result is not just poverty for some people or for a lot of people, but it can result in political unrest in some people who've basically lost everything in that sense. So, um, when people can't afford to eat, like we're living in a time right now in 2023 where people can't afford groceries. So when people can't afford to eat, they will look to the government. Sometimes some people will look to the government for a handout, but when the government can't provide that type of financial assistance, things like food banks become the necessity. So this is what we're seeing, right? I'm not saying anything that's not obvious, and so food banks are more. I just saw a news story this morning. More and more people are going to the food bank. Those who have homes and businesses have to keep them afloat somehow, and sometimes what people do in situations like this is they refinance their debts. So in other words, if you have a lot of debt, you would take out a loan from the bank in order to pay, or from the government. That's what happened during the pandemic, to pay off your expenses and stuff like that. So they refinance their debts through loans, which eventually causes them more distress and hardships because eventually they're going to have to not just pay off the loans that they're paying off, but the loan that they took to pay off their loans, right? So, uh, recalculating your debts and trying to meet your needs when inflation is soaring as it is right now can be very difficult without a steady stream of income. But it's also so important to have some income coming in when you feel like you're drowning financially in debt and expenditures, because there can be ways to downsize your life. Even this is what I learned from my Bible finance course, is that uh, if your if your expenditures are more than what you're actually making, there's ways you can downsize your life when things are unaffordable, especially when things are unaffordable. Now, what I want to say here is really, really important. I'm almost done with this video, but I'm talking about the economy. So a healthy economy stabilizes the poor, because when national debt can be reduced or paid off, the economy is way more healthy. So when our country owes money and our country decides to pay that money that they owe, rather than taking out creating more money and creating inflation, it actually reduces the burden of the poor and those who are struggling financially. In the same way we shouldn't refinance our own debts, in the same way that we shouldn't refinance our own debts, countries should find a way to pay off their loans because it has a direct effect on the economy and, as I said, on the lives of the poor. So when your economy is healthy and your country decides to pay off its own debts, it has a direct effect on the population and the people that are living in the country, especially the poor. Just some thoughts about finance. Um, I do follow somebody, um, and his name is Tom Copeland from Copeland Financial Ministries, and it's a biblical finance ministry. You can just look him up. I'm not really promoting him here, but when I took the Bible finance course at my church, he was the teacher of that course. So, and it really helped me understand. I didn't study this in school, but by attending a church, learning about giving to the church and learning about Bible finance, I really kind of got a better understanding of how the economy works in that sense. And so I just wanted to make this video talking about refinancing your debt and how a healthy economy can actually take the burden off of the poor, because there'll be more means and resources for those who are suffering financially when your economy is actually healthy and your country decides to pay off its debts. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.